join in with us, and they'll be part of the Q&A at the end, and we'll be able to share the recording with them. So I'm going to just screen share, if that's okay, and start the process. Okay, so you're here today, you've registered for the information session on the new master's courses in digitalisation for the biopharma sector that are run by ATU, Sligo and NIBRT, which is the National Institute for Bioprocessing Research and Training. Hopefully you all can see my screen. So the agenda for today is to run through the introductions of those present here and presenting today, to do a short presentation on the new program suites that we have at level 9, and to go through your questions and answers. So we will be able to unmute everybody at the end that needs to ask a question, turn on your cameras and engage with you, or we can do so outside of this event as well. So we've got here today, we have Melissa Hoare from NIBRT. So Melissa is the Senior Bioprocess Trainer. And Melissa is the academic coordinator and is involved with all of the biopharma online programs that NIBRT run in conjunction with ATU. We'll run programs from level 6, 7, 8, and right through to level 9, which are the ones we're talking about today. My name is Mary Butler. I'm a lecturer on the biopharma and medtech programs with the ATU, and I'm the program lead for this new suite of programs. And we also have Michelle Moore, who is the online student advisor for this new suite of programs. And indeed, Michelle is the online student advisor for all of our biopharma programs, mainly from level 7 to 9 that we run in conjunction with NIBRT. Michelle will be the main point of contact for initial queries and a lot of the approvals, and then any queries that students have throughout the academic year. So some of the names I recognize, some of them I don't, so I'm not sure if all of you have an understanding of who NIBRT is, but hopefully you do. So NIBRT is the National Institute for Bioprocessing Research and Training, pilot plant and training facility located in Dublin beside the UCD campus. And on our training programs in biopharma, the majority of the programs have an attendance element or practical training associated with the NIBRT facility. So none of the practical training occurs in the ATU campus, it occurs in the biopharma facility or in the NIBRT facility. So students can get hands-on experience with the equipment there. And the premises is ever expanding. Car park is getting smaller and smaller, and all of the training occurs at that facility. And then there's some involvement with recruitment days throughout the year. Typically in February or March, NIBRT runs a recruitment day with the biopharma industry, and that actually happens now out in the Cherrywood facility. So today we're here to talk about 3 new master's programs, I suppose, that are part of a suite of programs that we have just launched, and our timing is very close to the summer academic break, but they were just launched kind of the 14th, 15th of June. And it's a Master's in Validation and Digitalisation Technologies. So this is a 60 credit taught program and a 30 credit thesis associated with it. So typically this program would take place over 3 academic years. It's the exact same model as our historical Masters in Biopharmaceutical Science program, which we have been running for many years now, successfully with NIBRT for the biopharma industry in Ireland. And this program is aimed at increasing knowledge and experience of people in the area of validation and digitalization technologies. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. The next master's is an MSc in Bioindustry 4.0. So this is particularly aimed at the area of digitalization and Industry 4.0. This consists of 30 credits taught modules and a 60 credit thesis. So I will talk more about the 60 credit thesis towards the end, because there are some features of that make it quite specialized. And finally, we have the Masters in CQV, or Commissioning, Qualification and Validation for Biologics Manufacturing. So this is aimed at people that want to pursue a career in validation in the biopharma sector. Again, this is 30 credits taught and a 60 credit thesis. So again, it's a very specialized thesis, a program that, like the latter two, the Masters in Bioindustry 4.0 and the MSc in CQV, they can be completed in 2 years. So the taught element can be completed in 1 year and the thesis element can be completed in the following year. The rationale for the programs, I suppose, is, you know, the size of the biopharma sector in Ireland. It's very, very significant. The export value of the industry, the amount of jobs that it's creating. We're seeing many new investments in Cork region, Limerick region, Dublin, Dundalk areas that are major biopharma companies. We have the top 10 biopharma companies in the world located in Ireland. The majority of products in R&D at the moment are now biopharma related. In terms of digitalisation, we're very much aware that Ireland has a digitalisation or an Industry 4.0 strategy 2020 to 2025, and that document has fed into the design of some of our programmes here. And again, to about 1.5 to 2 years ago, NIBRT has launched, in conjunction with Boston Consulting Group, have launched the world's first Biopharma Innovation Centre in the NIBRT facility in Dublin. And they've employed a digital training manager, Mohammed Noor, who is involved with the training programs for digitalisation. There's an expert group for future skills needs. And this group met probably 3 to 4 times last year, and their brief was to look at the skills shortages within the biopharma sector in Ireland. And we attended all of those workshops. I think there was 3 located around the country. And some of the key pieces of information that were coming from the EGFSN workshops was the shortages in digitalisation skills, validation skills, and the other one was cell and gene therapy, actually, within the biopharma sector. That report is still pending. It still hasn't been published, but we're fairly au fait with what the contents of it is going to be based on our attendance at the workshops. And the other reason that we've developed these programs is as a progression pathway for level 9 certificates or minor awards that we have already in CQV and BioIndustry 4.0. So I mentioned already that we have been running a Masters in Biopharmaceutical Science. This was our flagship program, I suppose, that we've been running in conjunction with NIBRT since 2007. This has been a very successful program. We've put hundreds of people within the biopharma industry through this program since then. And then in 2020 and 2021-22, we introduced the Level 9 CQV certificate and the Level 9 BioIndustry 4.0 certificate. Based on skills shortages in the biopharma industry. The CQV certificate was Springboard funded last year and indeed will be Springboard funded again this year. We're just waiting for it to open on the springboardcourses.ie platform. And the BioIndustry 4.0 certificate was Springboard funded last year, but not this year. And there may be a reason to follow as to why that's the case. But these are 30 credit certificates. So we have a body of probably about 120, 130 people that have come through these programs, and we had no progression pathway for them. So that's part of the reason, again, why we developed a progression pathway to a major award in terms of postgrad diplomas and masters in this area. This is a little bit small, perhaps, the text on this, but I just wanted to give you a visual on the progression pathways that are available for online mature students or distance learners in the biopharma area for the ATU-NIBRT programs. So students can come in at level 6 and they can build an award online part-time at level 6. And again, we have some Springboard funded courses in this area. They can progress on to level 7 in what we call an add-on award, which allows them to progress on to level 8, which is the equivalent of an honours degree. And this allows them to progress on to level 9, which is the postgraduate awards that we're talking about here today. So at level 9, we have a suite of existing programs in biopharmaceutical science and biopharma processing, but we didn't have so much in the area of digitalisation and validation until the last 2 years, where we introduced minor awards of 30 credits. And now what we're doing is adding to those awards to make master's awards in digitalisation, validation and bioindustry. For anyone that isn't familiar with the CQV and is interested in the CQV route, so commissioning, qualification and validation, there's 30 credits in the master's program of taught modules, and these modules are biologics manufacturing. And the idea of this module is to bring people up to speed that wouldn't be completely au fait with upstream and downstream processing, for example. Facility design and operation is a 5-credit module, and regulation, risk and compliance is a 5-credit module. There may be students that have done that module already, and we have an alternative elective there in terms of research methods. In semester 2, so all of these programs are semesterized. Semester 1 runs from September through to December, early January, and semester 2 runs from the end of January until May. So in semester 2, there's a 10-credit module on CQV. So this is the nuts and bolts, I suppose, of the program. And there's a module, a 5-credit module in scale up and tech transfer. So that's your 30-credit level 9, and we call it a minor award. And that's an existing program, and this will be Springboard funded this year. And this does allow you to progress on to a postgrad diploma or a master's that I'll talk about in a moment. In the BioIndustry 4.0 area, the digitalization area, we ran this program for the first time last year. It was Springboard funded, and it was our first delve, I suppose, into digitalization within the biopharma sector. So the modules that are involved are Introduction to Bioindustry 4.0. There's a module on biologics manufacturing, current and future. And again, the reason for this module is to bring everybody up to speed around the terminology for upstream and downstream processing, fill finish, formulation, that kind of stuff. Module on regulation, risk and compliance, because regulation is going to be applicable to no matter what area of the biopharma sector that you're involved in. Regulation and compliance is going to be a huge part of it. Then in semester 2, there's a 10-credit module, which again is part of the nuts and bolts of this program on Bioindustry 4.0 theory and practice. You're looking at some case studies, some practical examples, and doing some assignments related to digitalization. And finally, a 5-credit module on data and digital technologies. So in terms of progression pathways here, I've tried to give a schematic of what people can do that some of you may already have done the level 9 cert in CQV, for example, which is column 2 here. And if you've done the level 9 cert in CQV, there's an option for you to go on and take the level 9 cert in Bioindustry 4.0. and combine those 2 awards to yield a postgrad diploma in validation and digitalization technologies. So that's a major award at level 9. It's worth 60 credits, and you're combining 2 special purpose awards or 2 level 9 certs. We have some candidates that have completed the level 9 cert in Bioindustry 4.0 through Springboard last year, and now they have the opportunity to go back to Springboard this year, for example, and complete the level 9 cert in CQV, and then avail of a postgrad diploma completely through Springboard funding almost. The next option here is somebody that would have completed the level 9 cert in CQV, the level 9 cert in Bioindustry 4.0, so all of the taught modules, and then you can add on a 30-credit thesis. And the 30-credit thesis is typically a literature review. So this might be about 15 to 20,000 words of a literature review that's related to CQV or digitalization, and that will yield a master's in validation and digitalization technologies. So that would probably be quite a popular route because it's the same design as our traditional Masters in Biopharmaceutical Science. Then the next 2 options relate to the Masters in CQV, which is your 30-credit cert in CQV, or your 5 taught modules, and a 60-credit thesis. Okay, I'm going to come back and talk about the 60-credit thesis in a few moments. That leads to a master's in CQV for Biologics Manufacturing, which is a very specialized award for anybody that wants to immerse themselves in the area of validation within the biopharma industry. And then the next one is the Masters in Bioindustry 4.0. So it's first of its kind that we have in the country. We have the 5 taught modules, I think it is, or the level 9 cert in Bioindustry 4.0, the first year of that program, combined with a 60-credit thesis, and that will yield the Masters in Bioindustry 4.0, and that can take 2 years to complete, the same as the Masters in CQV. And finally, I'm just going to touch on a new program, which is a postgrad diploma that the this is Pillar 1 funded, basically. This is up on the Springboard website under NIBRT as a provider. And there was a call from the HEA back in March or April that they wanted a training program in this area. And because we were already developing a suite of masters in this area, we had all the modules ready. But there's a call that they would be 2 modules included in relation to job readiness, work practice and placement. Majority of people that may be interested in this may already be immersed in industry, so these 2 modules will be very straightforward for them. But what this program consists of is all of the modules on our level 9 cert in CQV and 3 of the modules from our BioIndustry 4.0 cert, plus a job readiness and work practice and placement module. So this program is 90% funded for those that are interested, and it's up on the Springboard platform under springboardcourses.ie. And it's a huge opportunity for anybody that wants to get, a qualification in the area of digitalization and CQV. Okay, it's advertised as a full-time program, but it's full-time online. So it's delivered online using our virtual learning environment, our Moodle virtual learning environment, the same as all of our part-time programs are delivered. It's a program that's completed in 1 year, and it would be ideal for somebody that has done the level 9 cert in CQV or the level 9 cert in Bioindustry 4.0 already, because they will be exempt from some of the modules. But anybody can apply and complete this program. It's a full-time program, it's online, it is geared at people that are working full-time as well as those that are unemployed, and it takes 1 year to complete. So there's a link there on the bottom to the Springboard Courses platform where this program is advertised. There is a limit of, I think it's 20 places on this program, and they are filling, and they are filled on a first come, first served basis. So if it is of interest to you, maybe have a chat with us afterwards, or apply for it, and at least your name is has a place on the list. So who are these courses suitable for? They're suitable for people that are working in the industry, in the biopharma industry, in the manufacturing area, the quality area, research and development, engineering, or indeed site management personnel. So there's a number of people that are looking to kind of move into new areas within the industry and increase their understanding of either validation or digitalization within the industry, and that's what these programs are geared towards. The entry requirements is that you would hold a level 8 honours degree in a science or engineering discipline. We will look at alternative honours degrees for applicability and CVs to see what's your relevant work experience if your qualification isn't exactly cognate. The assessment for all of these programs is 100% continuous assessment, so there are no final exams and exam centres. That's not to say there are no exams. There are all of the assignment work and assessment and exams will be done online using the Moodle virtual learning environment. At level 9, there's a large focus on independent learning and case studies and scenarios and problem solving and your own project work. The delivery and features of the programs is, as I mentioned already, they're online. They're modular, so they're delivered in 5 credit or 10 credit modules, so small bite-sized pieces of work. They're designed to meet industry needs, so where the industry has identified skills shortages and training needs, or indeed where the expert group for future skills needs have identified skills shortages, that's what they're designed to address. It's distance learning material with the support of a lecturer at the other end and tutorials, and there will be guest lecturers that are specialists or experts in the areas. There'll be additional resources available on the Moodle platform, and I mentioned the semesterized delivery earlier. The programs are suitable to candidates anywhere in the world, really, because they are delivered online. Different world clocks isn't a barrier. We have students from all over the world already partaking in some of these programs. They are meeting the skill shortages within the industry, and they're addressing key specialist topics. Okay. So just for a minute, I'm going to talk about the MSc for CQV and the MSc for Bioindustry 4.0. I had said that both of these programs you can undertake in 2 years. The first year is the taught elements, the 5 modules, for example, that you take. And then the second year is your 60 credit thesis. So we've had a few applications for these programs already, and the barrier is the 60 credit thesis. So we need to make candidates aware right from the outset that the 60 credit thesis is a large body of work, and the thesis needs to be data generating. So it cannot be an extended literature review like the 30 credit thesis that I mentioned earlier. It needs to be data generating. So in order to be able to generate data within the area of CQV or Bioindustry 4.0, one really needs to be working in the industry in that area. And really you would need your employer's approval to be able to share that data or to use that data and analyze it for a thesis. So anybody that is interested in these 2 masters, we do have a thesis proposal template that we share with the applicants, and we ask that they complete the thesis proposal template as part of their application so that we can assess whether the thesis would meet the criteria for the 60 credit thesis in this case. So unlike the other master's programs, you need to be thinking about a thesis right from the word go, from the application. So you need to be thinking, is there something that I'm working on within my company, or is there something that I could work on within my company that would meet the criteria for this thesis? Sample thesis titles, I have put a few up here that we had used during the validation panel that can be used for a 30 or a 60 credit thesis. But I suppose the main message to get through is that it cannot be an extended literature review. So we will share these slides with you afterwards, so I'm not going to dwell on going through thesis titles with you. I'm going to stop sharing now, and we're happy to take any questions from you. Melissa hopefully has been keeping an eye on the chat box. I had invisibility while I was presenting there, but anybody that has any questions, we'll take them from the chat box first if there are any, and then we'll let people unmute and turn on your cameras, whatever you want to do, and ask any specific questions. So I see we have Michelle is here as well now, our online student advisor. Michelle, you might just wave. Thank you, you're on camera. And Melissa is here to take any questions. We also have Dan O'Mahony, and Dan teaches on the Bioindustry 4.0 program. And is there anybody else that I've missed there, Melissa, that can assist us with the questions? I think we're good to go. So I'm happy to open it.
Mary, yeah, I just have one question so far from Barbara Boyle around the certificate in CQV. So Barbara's wondering, for somebody that has already completed the level 9 cert in CQV, how would a student go about signing up for program 3, where we can sign up for the thesis semester to eventually acquire a master's in CQV?
Okay, so I can take that, Barbara. So you're interested in the Masters in CQV, and you've already done the level 9 cert in CQV. So in that case, you will be applying to do the 60 credit thesis. So the 60 credit thesis is the one I just mentioned, where you would need to be immersed in CQV within the industry that you're in, and you would need to be able to generate some a body of work with data in it that you can analyze. So you would probably need your company's permission to do that. I can share the thesis proposal template with you to see, have you any ideas, or we can have a chat offline at any stage through ideas that you may have that might be able to meet the requirements of the CQV 60 credit thesis. The other option you could think of, Barbara, is the new HCI funded postgrad diploma. You've already done the level 9 cert in CQV. You'd only have 3 modules of Bioindustry 4.0, a job readiness module, and the work practice and placement module to complete in order to get a postgrad diploma. So that might be of interest, and that's 90% funded if you're already in employment and 100% funded if you're unemployed.
We just have another question there, Mary, from Sarah, about when the slides will be sent out or how people can access the slides after this session.
Yeah, so Cleo from marketing organised this event for us and has the attendees list. So I will share the slides with Cleo afterwards, and hopefully Cleo can circulate the entire attendees list. This has been recorded as well. Is there any other questions there in the chat box?
We just have a couple of people typing there, Mary.
Thanks, Cleo. Yeah. If anybody wants to turn on their mic and ask a question, you're very welcome to do that, because this is a small group. We haven't turned off all mics and cameras. Anybody that wants to engage, we're happy to do that now.
Maybe just one small point from my side, Mary.
Thanks, Dan.
For some participants that may not be working directly in industry today, sometimes they're working for a vendor, or they might be working for a consultancy company, for example, where a client might be a little bit more reluctant to give data relating to CQV. It is possible to do some qualitative research where you might interview a series of companies in the industry, for example. So sometimes you don't have to be within the four walls of a manufacturer to still be able to maybe do your thesis. So just that's an option maybe to consider as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. I just see a question there from Kieran around the time frame to complete a 60 credit dissertation. Would students have 9 months or 12 months?
Yeah, it's 12 months ideally, Kieran. So because these programs are geared towards people that are working in industry, typically mature students, we do have a lot of protocols and procedures in place within the college to facilitate people that are mature learners and online learners. So what we wouldn't normally be advertising is, you can take up to 6 years to complete a program. There is a deferrals procedure in place if you have legitimate reasons that you can't complete it within the first year. We wouldn't be encouraging anybody to go down that route. We'd encourage everybody to try and complete it within the first year, because that's normally when you have the most momentum going. But typically the 60 credit thesis is done in a year, and it is actually a very manageable workload to get done in a year when you're not taking 30 credit taught modules with it. No, Owen, is there a few more typing there?
Yeah, there's just a couple of more questions. So one is around the word count on a 60 credit dissertation, Mary.
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, it's 25,000 words, 25 to 30,000 words, maybe.
Yeah.
They're not that massive. They're not as massive as you might think. That's probably about, I don't know, 110 typed pages.
Yeah. See, I think the important thing with the 60 credit dissertation is to make sure that it is more data driven rather than that extensive literature review. I don't see any further questions coming in. Unless someone else has anything.
No, it doesn't look like it. So we'll share the links to all of the programs on the batch of slides that will be circulated. Any questions, you can come back to any of us on the programs. These are for September start. When is the September start? We have our academic calendar tells us that online induction is the week of the 11th to the 15th of September, and then programs will commence delivery the following week. Typically, it's mainly introductory for September, and then we're getting into the program in detail in October. So it's a short enough term. A semester is only 12 to 13 weeks in duration. So and there's 2 semesters, so it absolutely flies for people. The workload is heavier towards the end of the semesters, I would tell people, because you're gathering the knowledge towards the beginning of the semester and this ongoing assessment, and then at the end of the semester, that's normally when majority of your projects and assignments are due. Okay, so if there's no further questions, I'd like to thank you all for participating and coming online during your lunch hour today. Feel free to share any of the information that Cleo shares with you afterwards with any of your colleagues that may be interested. And we're happy to take any questions, by email afterwards.